guys, welcome back to the channel Manchester Madventures. I'm Dave, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making an easy knife or saw sheath. Now Julie got a lovely little open hull saw that she wanted off Santa Claus this year, and what she did say is she'd like a little leather sheath for it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a simple sheath for it. It's the same kind of method you use for a knife, a saw, even some axe sheaths. We're going to be doing some sewing, we're going to do a little bit of riveting and a little bit of wet forming to show you how that works. So stick around and enjoy the instructional. So what we're going to do with a sheet of A4 now is we're going to make a template. Now I like to leave probably 20-25 mil around the sides, just so that, you know, once you've cut your leather out and you've done your wet forming, you're not going to lose anything. So we'll roll over to there. That'll give us plenty. Make a little line at the bottom, get rid of you. Now what all we have to do is line that up, make sure the bottom edge is straight, and then fold it all the way up. And that will give you your length. Whoops, basically run along the edge. There we go. So I'm just using the edge of the paper as a ruler here. You can of course use a ruler. Takes us back down to the line. And then same again, what we're going to do with this is we're going to fold the other way so that you can see the line. And again, marrying up the bottom of the paper to make sure it's an absolute right angle. I'm going to go all the way along like that. As you can see, it's folded right on the line. So you can either cut this off with a pair of scissors, but what I tend to do, just like you used to do at school, fold it over 4 or 5 times, maybe half a dozen, grab an end, and then there we go, just tear it off. Job's a good one. Now what we want to do is find out how long we want it. So we fold it in half again. We're going to give ourselves probably about 15 mil at the bottom, because again this will be wet forming, so it'll be coming over, and we just want to make a mark probably just around about where the lanyard hole is, or if you're using a knife or saw that doesn't have a lanyard hole, just enough so you can get a couple of fingers round to pull it out of the sheath once you've made it. So rough eyeballing, I'm going to go for around there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to take a little slant down, just a few degrees. Again, eyeballing, just to give it a little bit of appeal when it's done. There we go. Now what we want to do is we're going to need a way to affix it to a belt or pack or similar. So I'm going to follow this line, just make a small crease like that. This gives us the same line at the back here. And now I'm going to mark it out just so that I can reference it. What I need to do is to make a strap over here. So it's all going to be part of the same piece of leather. So from there to there, I'm going to mark the middle, which is, let's see, so that's 8.5, so it's 4 1/4, which is the middle there. Now what I want to do is I'm going to make a strap that goes straight up, or the template of a strap. So I'm going to take 1 centimetre either side. So we're going to go there and we're going to go there. That should be more than enough for the strap. Again, there's a lot of measuring. That's 3 centimeters. So if I go up to the top here and measure in 3 centimeters, and then from the edge there we're at 5 centimeters. So we go to the top here and measure 5. And then we'll join these up. Right, so these parts are going to be waste. So we're going to get rid of that. As you can see, this comes down here. So we're going to get rid of that, that, and that. I'll come back to you in a moment, just after we've cut all these out. Welcome back. So this is roughly what the sheath's going to look like. It'll obviously, this will come in a little as we wet form it. But round the back, I've given enough length, should you wish to make belt loop, where you could attach your strap. This is going to be the belt strap right here at the bottom, giving you a good 2 inches or so that you can get a belt through there. Or if, like what I'm going to do, you're going to make a dangler, you could just take it off there and make a little loop for a D-ring to go through. So we'll be doing that. But like I say, the reason we put this on, it gives you the versatility to be able to make a dangler sheath or a belt. What we need to do now is to transfer this onto a piece of leather. What I've got is I've got some pre-dyed veg tan, 2mm thick. So I'll go and get some of that now, and we'll start to make it happen. Right, we've got our leather cut out, we've got our template. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transfer that to that. But before I do that, because I'm not doing a full belt loop, I'm just going to take a wee bit of this off because I don't need it all. This is the grain side. This has all been pre-prepared. It's a lovely piece of leather, but the only trouble is sometimes you have a bit of a job finding which side's the grain and what's not. All I'm going to use here is a little scratch awl. And we're going to scratch down. Like I say, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because we'll be trimming the edges off after we've completed the project. I find leather working very therapeutic. You know, you had a hard day at work, sometimes it's nice to just fashion something up. And of course it's a lot cheaper than what you can buy in the shops. You can go out and buy almost anything, but sometimes it's worth just learning. You know, so we take that off. And you can see we've got a lovely sort of pattern to go out there. So I'll cut this out and I'll come back right to you. You can see all I'm using here is a craft knife. In the UK we call them Stanley knives. I think Stanley was possibly one of the first companies that brought the design out. But you know, there's loads of different companies that do them now. Milwaukee and DeWalt and everyone. This one's a Work Pro. But all you need, nothing special, it's just literally a sharp bladed instrument. You can even do this if you're fancying a bit of leather work out in the field, there's absolutely no reason why you can't use your bushcraft knife for this. Next part we're going to go through is the wet forming. Some people say this is a pain, some people like it. I actually quite like it, and it shows you how it starts to form and take shape. So let me get my stuff together and I'll be right back with you. First of all, we need the piece you're going to form. We need the piece you're going to form it to. We're going to need some cling film or saran wrap if you're from over the pond. We're going to need some clamps of sorts. Doesn't matter what these are, these are just plastic ones I've got laying around. And we're going to need a couple of flat edges. What I've got is some plastic rulers. And that's about it. Oh, and what else you're going to need? A tub of warm water. So we'll get that tub filled up and we'll crack on. Now before we start playing with the water, what we need to do is protect our piece that we're going to be forming. So what I do is I get the item, that's the way it's going to be formed, and just wrap it in the saran wrap, cling film, doesn't matter what you call it, doesn't need a lot. Just literally make that nice and tight. This is our piece ready to go in. Onwards and upwards. What we've got here is just plain tap water, but it's kind of warm. It's not hot, it's just literally warm. So we start to soak the leather. Sometimes it makes a really satisfying fizzing sound. I really like it. It's sort of like if you've got the untreated stuff, it goes, and you can feel it soaking up. And you'll start to feel this getting soapy soft. Just keep going, give it a couple of minutes, start to bend it, see how it feels. Because this is pre-treated, it'll probably take a little bit longer, but that's okay. Right, so it's been soaking for a couple of minutes. You can see it's lovely and pliable now. I've dabbed it with a towel. There's still a bit of water on the board, but I have dabbed it with a towel. And now what we do is we kind of look at where we want our piece to be and fold over. Now the important thing is keeping these edges as close to each other as you can. And then what we start to do is we just start to use pressure and push in. And I like to use things like my knuckles. I'd kind of go against using any sharp tools or anything. People sometimes get certain tools for wet forming. I just use my knuckles, and it's just a matter of kneading it in and kneading it in, moving your piece, kneading it in, and you really need to put the pressure on. Don't be shy. And then at the bottom, I'm going to be pinching in, and you can see it's starting to take shape, form up. That's what we want. And it is a little bit hard work, a bit of a workout if you're not used to it. And what will happen is as this starts to form in, it'll get tighter as it dries. It's not going to dry straight away, but you know, as it does dry off, it's going to get tighter and tighter, and that's what gives your item its grip. That's lovely. Yeah, it's going just the way I like it. Now what I'm going to do, I've stretched it and moulded it as best I can. I'm going to put these straight edges on like this. Again, pushing down. And these are literally they're not to squeeze, they're just to keep this in place. A few little clamps. And in the bottom there, I'm going to take one more. Just to squeeze that right off. Go from that side. There we go. There we have it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this for 3 or 4 hours, and then we'll come back to it when it's dry. Right, via the magic of editing, this has been about 4 seconds for you, but it's been about 5 hours for me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the clamps that we've had on the piece, and remove the 2 rulers and the bottom clamp. And as you can see, it's kind of in one shape now. You can take the saw out and it's not going anywhere, which is amazing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the dangler for it. So first things first, I want to trim this bit off. So using one of these, which is like a little sort of strap end cutter, I've just put it over there and rounded the end off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hole, because I'm going to rivet these on. So with the rivet tool, just somewhere roughly in the middle, about there. Give it a twist, and that's the hole done in there. Now from there, pardon me, we'll take the awl, and roughly see where I want it to go, which is going to be there, and make a wee scratch. I'll pop the awl in again, just there. And there we have it, 2 holes. Now, what I've got for these is I've got a couple of copper rivets. They come with a little setting tool. So basically you pop that through, put that on top, and then it goes in one of these holes, and you just hit the other end with the hammer, and that sets it. Then what we do is we go to these bits on the end, and that rounds it off. So I'll get that done now, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so the rivet's through the back. What we are going to use is this little D-ring that I found. So I'll pop that over there. Rivet goes all the way through there. And then we pop this on top. Now I need to find something just to put behind it so that I can clatter this down. So just bear with me. So I've just been out to the shed, and what I found is this hammer. Should work just fine. So all I'm going to do is just pop it in there so the rivet has got something to back onto, like this. Put the top over, and then you get one of these holes. Line her up. You know when she goes in. There you go. In fact, I'll go left-handed on this one. There we go. And then with your mallet, give it a good clatter. There we go. You can see that's set it. Straight in. Lovely and secure there. Turn it that way. And now what we do is we just take a little bit off there, and then paint it over. We've used some metal snips just to take the height of that down a little bit. Now we go back to our hammer, pop it inside, and now with the end of this, which has got a little painting thing, you pop it over the top and then just gently paint it round. That's the one. It's lovely and smooth now, painted over. Okay, next on the agenda, we need to glue this, and then we'll start to sew it. So let's get that done. Okay. You can see roughly where the edge is. So we're just using a general purpose contact adhesive. Going to leave this to go tacky for about 10 minutes and then squidge it all together. As you see, I've still got this in the saran wrap or cling film, call it what you will, and as soon as we've got this glued together, we'll really tighten it down with that inside so that we know we got it as tight as we possibly can. Right, so we're giving that glue a chance to set off a little bit, and what we're doing now is we're changing out our tools. Now this can be done in several different ways. What I'm going to use is a line marking tool and pricking irons, which are basically like little sharp forks that we're going to make the holes to stitch with. Now out in the field, if you've got a ruler with you, you can mark your stitches with a ruler. You can even use something like this, which is a stitch marking wheel, and you just literally roll it across something and it gives you, don't know whether it will show up on here, no, it gives you evenly spaced marks where you could use a hand awl to just stitch through like the awl on your Swiss Army knife. But for easy use, what I'll be doing is using this and using these guys. First thing I'm going to do is I want to measure the width away from the actual piece. So I'm going to go in here like this and pull it round at the bottom like this, and there you have it. So I've got a lovely piece there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this off the edge so that I can get better access to the side of the piece. So we start with our pricking irons, dead simple. About 5 or 6 taps, start to go through. And the last hole that you do should be the first hole of the next one. So this is a bit repetitive, so what I'll do is I'll crack on with this and bring you back when we're sorted. So there she is, all stitched out, marked out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sewing her up. Now, talked about different methods. We've got the awl we talked about before, and we've also got different kinds of threads. We've got wax thread, blacks. I'm going to use this colour, and you can just use needles and an awl. I've got a stitching awl, which is still just a needle and an awl, but it means I don't have to mess around with the thread. So I'll be using this, but it's exactly the same. I'm going to be using saddle stitch. There's loads of videos on the internet that you can find out how that's done, but basically it's 2 pieces, or sorry, 1 long piece of thread going through the holes from separate angles and then going around and around like that. So if you want to learn how to do saddle stitch, there's lots more detailed ways of doing it. I'm going to stitch this up now and I'll be back with you shortly. So here we are, pretty much sewn up. All I need to do now, trim the edge off and add a dangler. So I'll get on with that now. What I've done is the same as the last on the back of there. I've just made a simple dangler loop with a rivet on the back, so your belt can go through there and just, it can come and just sit against your belt. Now all I've got to do, trim the excess off, and we're pretty much done. Just round it off by taking the sharp edges off one by one. Very simply. I think we're pretty much there. A little bit of burnishing to do, but not much. And a little bit of leveling out. But basically, there you have it. Nice little sheath for a open hole saw. So finished with all the saran wrap come cling film now, so we can get rid of that. Pop it in. And there you have it. Doesn't come out. Nice tight fit, but not too tight that you can't simply pull it out. Happy with that. Like I say, I'm not a real leather worker. Well, say I'm a real leather worker. I'm really working with the leather. But I'm not a professional leather worker. I just like to do it as a bit of fun. And probably you could probably pay £50, £60 upwards for a nicely tooled custom made leather sheath. But a little rustic one like this, I don't know, a couple of quid's worth of leather and an hour or so of your time. So there you go. So there you have it. One sheath, couple of hours work, great fun to do. I did it at home. You could do it out in the woods. If you've got a Swiss Army knife with an awl, a sharp blade, a couple of needles and some thread, you can certainly knock something out as easy as this. I've used rivets on the back. You can obviously sew these up as well by just making stitch holes and stitching it through. So totally easy to make, cheap, and very, very durable. Doesn't come out. I think Julie's going to love it. Well, that's all from me, Dave at Manchester Madventures. I hope you found the video informative, and you know, it's going to encourage you to get out and try a few things yourselves. Even if you're at home, you know, you don't have to be out in the woods. But if you are out in the woods, it's always worth getting something, a little project on the go. You don't have to do it all in one go. I'd like to put a shout out to all my subscribers. Thanks a lot for pressing that subscribe and the notification bell. Helps out the channel a lot. And I'm looking forward to bringing more content to you in the future. So probably the last one for 2025. So raise a glass. I'll see you in the next year. Stay out in the woods.